Clapperboard struggling single dad helps repair farmer's shed, unaware she owns thousands of acres of farmland. Full story, powerful and emotional. The rain hadn't stopped for hours. Mud swallowed the tires of an old rusted truck that crawled down a narrow country road. Inside sat Ethan Cole, a single dad, once a construction worker, now struggling to find work after the company he worked for shut down. Beside him, his little daughter Lily, no older than 7, hummed softly, unaware her dad was driving on his last few drops of fuel. As they passed through endless fields, Ethan spotted a farmhouse in the distance. The wind howled, and a figure near the barn fought to keep a broken shed door from collapsing. Without a thought, Ethan pulled over. He jumped out into the rain. "Ma'am, you need a hand." The woman looked up, soaked but smiling. "Only if you don't mind a little mud." Ethan chuckled, "I've been muddy my whole life." They worked together under the storm, hammering, lifting, bracing wood. When the job was done, the shed stood firm again. "You really didn't have to," she said, brushing wet hair from her face. "Don't mention it," Ethan replied, trying to head back to his truck. "Wait," she said. "At least let me pay you." He shook his head. "Just help someone else someday. That's enough for me." The woman smiled, but something about his eyes stayed in her mind long after he drove away. A few days later, back at her farmhouse, Clara Dawson, the farmer, couldn't stop thinking about the man who refused payment. She ran one of the largest agricultural businesses in the state, but few knew her true identity. To everyone, she was just the lady who managed the land. She sent one of her men to town, find that man who helped fix the shed. "His name's Ethan." Hours later, her foreman returned. "Saw him at the diner, ma'am. He's staying in that old trailer park outside town. Times are tough for him." Clara frowned. "And the girl, his daughter. Sweet kid. They're barely making it." That evening, she drove to the trailer park herself. She found Ethan repairing a flat tire under a flickering streetlight. "You again," he said with a shy grin. "I told you the shed's holding strong," she smiled back. He laughed. "Glad to hear it." Clara looked around at his rundown surroundings. "You still looking for work?" Ethan sighed. "Every day. Then come work for me. The pay's decent, meals included. I could use a man like you." He hesitated. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," she said softly. Weeks later, Ethan and Lily moved into a small cottage on her property. He worked from dawn to dusk, fixing fences, feeding animals, and helping with the harvest. He never complained. He never asked for more. And every evening, Clara would watch him from her porch, a man who had lost everything but still carried kindness in his hands. Lily and Clara became close too. The little girl would bring Clara wildflowers every morning. "You remind me of someone," Clara said one day. "Who?" Lily smiled. "Myself, when I still believed in good people." The reveal. A few weeks later, a group of wealthy businessmen arrived in expensive cars. They called Clara, Ms. Dawson, owner of Dawson Agriculture. Ethan overheard and froze. "You own all this?" he asked, stunned. Clara nodded. "Yes. But when you helped me that day, I wasn't the owner to you, I was just someone struggling in the rain." Ethan looked down, embarrassed. "If I'd known." She stopped him gently. "If you'd known, you might not have helped. That's what makes what you did so rare." She smiled, eyes glistening. "You weren't fixing a shed that day, Ethan. You were fixing my faith in people." Tears welled in his eyes. "I was just doing what felt right." "I know," she said, handing him an envelope. Inside was a deed to a small house and a few acres of land. "For you and Lily. A place to call your own." Ethan was speechless. Lily ran into his arms, crying. Clara smiled through tears. "Sometimes, the poorest hands hold the richest hearts." 26. The morning sun lit up the valley like gold. Ethan stood in disbelief, staring at the house deed in his trembling hands. 27. "Miss Dawson, I can't take this," he whispered, his voice breaking. 28. Clara smiled gently. "You already earned it, Ethan. You gave when you had nothing." 29. Lily clung to his leg, her little eyes sparkling. "Daddy, does that mean we have a home now?" 30. Ethan dropped to one knee, holding her tight. "Yes, sweetheart, we finally do." 31. For the first time in years, Ethan slept peacefully that night, no thunder of debt, no ache of worry. 32. The next morning, he woke early, hearing laughter outside. 33. Lily was feeding the chickens while Clara watched from the porch with coffee in her hand. 34. She's got your spirit, Clara said softly. 35. Ethan smiled. She's stronger than me. Always has been. 36. Over the next few weeks, their bond grew naturally. 37. Ethan fixed tractors, fences, and machinery with the same care he once gave to people. 38. Clara found herself waiting for him every evening, just to talk, to listen, to feel human again. 39. For years, her wealth had built walls, Ethan's kindness was tearing them down. 40. You know, she said one evening, I spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from me. You're the first one who didn't. 41. He looked at her. Maybe I just needed to give something for once. 42. Silence, warm, gentle, settled between them. 43. One night, a violent storm hit again. Trees swayed, the wind howled. Ethan rushed out to secure the barns. 44. Clara followed, helping him hold down the doors, both soaked to the bone. 45. In the chaos, lightning flashed, and they both burst out laughing. 46. Déjà vu, Clara shouted through the rain. Except this time, you're not just passing through. 47. Ethan smiled, rain streaming down his face. Guess I'm home now. 48. By morning, the storm was gone, but something had changed. 49. Clara realized her heart, once hardened by loss and success, had softened again. 50. And Ethan. He realized that sometimes, when you stop chasing fortune, kindness brings it to your door. 51. A few days later, expensive cars once again rolled up Clara's long dirt driveway. 52. Ethan wiped grease off his hands and watched, confused. 53. Men in suits stepped out, investors, board members, people from Clara's corporate world. 54. Miss Dawson, one said sharply, you've been ignoring our calls. The expansion deal needs your signature. 55. Clara frowned. That deal would destroy family farms for profit. I said no. 56. You're making a mistake, another man snapped. Do you know how much money you're walking away from? 57. Ethan stayed silent, standing behind her, calm, protective. 58. After they left, Clara sighed, exhausted. 59. You think I'm crazy for saying no, don't you? She asked Ethan. 60. He shook his head. Money comes and goes. But your soul, you only get one. 61. She looked at him, eyes soft. You really believe that? 62. I have to, he said quietly. It's the only thing that's kept me going. 63. Later that evening, Lily ran into Clara's house, holding a drawing. 64. Miss Clara, I made this. 65. It was a picture of Clara, Ethan, and Lily, standing together by the farm. 66. Clara froze. We look like a family. 67. Lily nodded proudly. 'Cause you are my family now. 68. Clara hugged her, tears in her eyes. 69. Ethan stood in the doorway, his heart full but uncertain, was he just a worker, or something more? 70. That night, Clara sat on her porch alone. The stars shimmered above. 71. Ethan quietly stepped outside and joined her. 72. You ever wonder why people like us meet? She asked. 73. Yeah, he said, gazing at the sky. Maybe broken people find each other, to fix what the world broke. 74. For a long time, neither spoke again. 75. But the silence between them felt like peace, not emptiness. 76. Weeks turned into months, and harvest season arrived. 77. The fields glowed golden, ready to yield their blessings. 78. Ethan led the workers, teaching them efficiency, kindness, and teamwork. 79. Clara watched from afar, her heart swelling with pride. 80. The farm had never run smoother, or felt more alive. 81. But one evening, disaster struck, a wildfire spread near the northern edge of the fields. 82. The workers panicked, smoke filling the air. 83. Ethan jumped into action. Get the kids and elders to safety. He shouted. 84. He drove the tractor straight into the flames, clearing a path to stop the fire from spreading. 85. Clara screamed, Ethan, no. But he didn't stop. 86. Hours later, rain finally returned, extinguishing the last of the fire. 87. Ethan collapsed near the field, exhausted but alive. 88. Clara ran to him, tears streaming down her face. 89. You could have died. 90. So could your land, he smiled weakly. Didn't seem fair. 91. She held his face. You don't get it, do you? You're part of this land now. 92. He smiled faintly. Then I guess I'm home for good. 93. The next day, the news spread, local farmers' land saved by unknown hero. 94. Clara publicly introduced him as her new partner in managing Dawson Farms. 95. Cameras flashed, but Ethan just held Lily's hand, the only spotlight he cared for. 96. Months later, the farmhouse was filled with laughter again. 97. Lily played outside with Clara's dogs, while Ethan repaired a fence nearby. 98. Clara brought him lemonade, smiling like the sun itself. 99. Still think you were just helping a farmer in the rain? She teased. 100. Ethan grinned. No, ma'am. I think I was finding my family. Dash dash dash.